Hello everybody and welcome to episode 26 of my Human Mage playthrough. Today we are currently in Darkshire and Duskwood, but at the start of the episode I'm going to go ahead and head to Stormwind so we can do a couple things really quickly before we return to the Wetlands to work on some quests. The big quest that I'm looking at today is this quest called Seeking Wisdom, which starts with bringing Jitter's completed journal to Bishop Farlene in Stormwind. This has to do with Swin Jorgen, and we are trying to avenge his family, so let's go ahead and just fly straight to Stormwind.
See you around.
And as we arrive in Stormwind, there is something that I want to do before we go work on this quest, and that is to return to the Mage Trainer. And I think the last time that I went to the Mage Trainer was actually level 24, so we skipped level 26. We're currently level 28, so we should have a lot of stuff to learn when we head to the Mage Trainer. I might have gone on level 24, I'm kind of forgetting, but nevertheless, we are now level 28. We just barely hit level 28 by 90 experience last episode, so let's go ahead and see what there is for us to learn. And here is our Mage Trainer. She actually has a quest for us, which is the quest that I was talking about. I'll go ahead and just turn that in really quickly. But here we have a ton of new things we can learn. So first, I'll go ahead and just learn Arcane Intellect. We have a new spell here called Conjure Mana Agate, which will allow us to conjure something that we can instantly use to restore 375 to 425 mana. I'm going to go ahead and learn that. I'm not going to learn Mana Shield. Let's come down here. We can learn some new fire spells here, but I'm going to go ahead and ignore all of those. And now we can look at Frost. So we have Cone of Cold, which is a cone that we can cast out in front of us that will deal some damage and also slow all of our enemies. Let's learn that. Let's learn a new spell of Frost Nova, Frostbolt, and Blizzard. So I learned a ton of new things. Let's go ahead and come into Arcane here. We can get the Conjure Mana Agate here. Go ahead and just conjure one of these up. I'm actually kind of interested looking at Arcane. Conjure Water rank 4, which we currently have a rank 3, is at level 30, so we have to wait 2 more levels for that. And then the next Conjure Food, rank 4, which we currently have rank 3, is at level 32, so we have a little bit to go until we reach our new level of food and water. And I'm definitely kind of feeling the low level effects of this food and water right now. Let's also go ahead and put the new Blizzard, the new Frost Nova, the new Frostbolt, and now we have Cone of Cold that we could put somewhere on our skill bar. I might go ahead and replace Fireball actually, and I might just put Fireball up here so we just have it on our skill bar just in case we need it, but I think I kind of want to put Cone of Cold right there. I'll turn in this quest. This next quest is to go to the Tower of Elgalar, so I'm just going to drop that, but we got a little bit of experience from that, which is nice. And now let's go ahead and turn in our Seeking Wisdom quest here in Stormwind in the Cathedral Square district. We are starting to reach a level where, as like a human questing around this area, we are starting to unlock several very long quest chains that are very fun and exciting, and we are working on some of them right now, but there are a couple that we can pick up and start doing, one of which we can pick up here in the Cathedral District, but I'm going to wait for another episode to do that, and I'm going to dedicate an entire episode to that quest chain, as well as I'll probably dedicate entire episodes to some other quest chains as well. But for now, we'll go ahead and talk to Bishop Farlene here, and we can give him Jitter's journal, and he says an evil taint has gained a foothold within that already beleaguered Duskwood. I thank the light we have a hero such as you to face it, but you must first prepare yourself for the coming trial, for the necromancer Morbid Fell is immensely powerful, and has cast dark enchantments about himself to protect him from physical assaults. If you are to defeat him, you will need a weapon that is proof against these protections. Years ago, the Third Fleet of Kul Tiras sunk along the coast of the Wetlands, an expanse of marsh north of the dwarven kingdom of Ironforge. Aboard one ship was a load of light forged iron. This metal is precious to us, for items crafted from it strike with holy truth. If you are to face Morbid Fell, then you will need such a weapon. Go to Minethil Harbor and speak with my dwarf colleague, Glorin Steelbrow. If that lost metal can be found, he'll know where to look. So now we have a quest to return to the Wetlands, so I'm going to go ahead and head back to our Griffin Master here, and then we can take a Griffin all the way to the Wetlands, and we can pick up some quests in Minethil Harbor to do alongside this quest as well. And here we are in Minethil Harbor. Let's go ahead and run around the village here a little bit. There's a boat to Aberdeen leaving right there, I believe. And let us pick up some quests. So here is a quest that is part of a question that we started doing last time we were here, where we're going to go ahead and run down the coast and try to find an old statuette. Let's go ahead and chat with James here. I got rid of your quest a while ago, but I'll go ahead and pick it back up now to get some crockless kites. We have a couple quests here and right outside the keep that I'm going to go ahead and wait for another episode. And then we can talk to Sita here, and we can pick up a quest digging through the ooze. That's pretty low level now, but we can go ahead and do it anyways because we're going to be around that area. And then let's go ahead and talk to First Mate Fitzsimmons, which has a quest that is really relevant to the quest that we are doing. He says, I was once First Mate on the Wave Mistress ship The Lion in the Kul Tiras Third Fleet, the Doomed Fleet. Doomed, for on this last voyage the fleet was attacked by red dragons controlled by orcs. We didn't stand a chance against that dragonfire, and our fleet was burned and sunk off this here coast. I'm the sole survivor of those poor vessels. Oh, my head hammers and pounds, I'll need a fresh drink if I'm to get a handle on this hangover and continue my tale. Let's go ahead and run in here, and we have a quest here with Glorin Steelbro, which is the Doom Fleet quest that we can go ahead and turn in, and then we can search the wreckage of the Flying Osprey in the Wetlands, which is part of the doomed Third Fleet that was sunk by red dragons during the Great War, and we can try to find some light forge iron. And then we can talk to the innkeeper to buy a flagon of dwarven honey mead, which is worth 15 silver, so this guy better be happy that I spent so much money on a drink for him. Let's go ahead and give this to him. And then he says, that hits the spot and loosens the tongue. Thanks, mate. So he is the sole survivor of the ill-fated Third Fleet, and he's giving us a quest to go fight some cursed sailors, cursed marines, and First Mate Snellig. Let's go ahead and pick up this quest, and we can look at our quest log now that we have a ton of stuff that we can do. First, we have this waterlogged chest that is all the way over here, which is important for our quest with Swin Jorgen. So let's go ahead and run over here, and you can see that there are some murlocs here, and we can see that chest right there. So let's go ahead and clear through this really quickly. I thought this quest was further north with the Third Fleet. I guess this is just another boat that's like further south here. Go ahead and loot these two murlocs once this net gets off of me. And then we have this chest right here. There are some murlocs nearby, but I think I might be able to just turn this quest in, and then we can gather 5 Lightforge ingots that are actually further north of here. So this was the quest that I was thinking about. So now we have this damage crate that we can go work on the quest that we got from the docks, and then we can work our way up north along the entire coast, and then loop around and then come back in to Minotho Harbor. So let's go ahead and leave through the main entrance to Minotho Harbor and start working our way up the coast. We have some bluegill murlocs right here. They are level 20. We did this quest a long time ago, and we were over leveled when we did it as well. So doing the first part of this quest should be pretty easy, and we just have to clear out this murloc camp a little bit, and then interact with this damage crate, and then head towards the next murloc camp if we cannot find the statuette here. Let's use Cone of Code for the first time here, and the murloc of course resisted it. I think that's fitting for our first time using a new spell. Looking through this damage crate, and the statuette is not in here, but we can get some healing potions, which I'm going to go ahead and throw on my skill bar right now. And now we can go look for the statuette in the next murloc camp, so let's go ahead and work our way over there. Here we have a big group of murlocs. Let's go ahead and use our blizzard skill here, and I'll try to hit all of them, and then we could try our best to kind of like just group them up a little bit here. And we can use our Cone of Code, and then we can use our Frost Nova, and then we can use our blizzard, but the Frost Nova did not work on one of them, which is a little problematic for us. But I might have to actually use my healing potion here, so let's go ahead and use that. And then I'm going to use my mana agate as well, and then we can go ahead and just finish off these murlocs here. I should be good. Let's go ahead and fight this one first really quickly, and then I'll go ahead and just wait for my fire blast, use my fire blast, and we killed all 4 of them with relative ease there. And now we can come interact with the sealed barrel here and look through it and see if we can find the statuette inside once we get this little lid off. And inside, the statuette is not here, but there is some cheese, so we'll go ahead and take that and we could sell it. And let's continue searching into the next hovel that is right over here, closer to these ships here, that is the fallen Third Fleet. And let's go ahead and fight these higher level murlocs. They're now green for us, which is good. Let's go ahead and clear out this camp really quickly. And we have this barrel here that I think is far enough away from that murloc. Let's go ahead and turn in this quest. And now we have found the statuette, and we can go ahead and return this to Carlborn on the docks. So those 3 quests there are now done. So let's go ahead and continue running further north. I'm just going to run this way a little bit and try to just get past all these murlocs here. And we can start working on our Third Fleet quests that we have here, as well as the Crocodile quests. We just have to get past all these murlocs here. Let's go ahead and fight our way through this murloc here. I think that will be a good option for us. And now we have two ships that are fallen right here that have a ton of cursed sailors aboard, as well as some other enemies that we can fight. And I believe the main captain person that we want to fight is on the other ship, but let's go ahead and just work through some of the cursed sailors here on this ship first. He says a living human soon to be dead like me. We pulled two of them actually, so let's go ahead and just back up a little bit so they can't hit us because they are melee enemies. And this cursed sailor used a curse of the eye on us, so we were cursed by the eye of Paleth, and now we are turned into an undead as well. I believe the Eye of Paleth is a quest that we will be working on soon. It might be part of this quest chain actually, so we will have the opportunity to learn a little bit more about that. Kul Tiras as a nation is actually really interesting because they are an island nation slightly west of Eastern Kingdoms, and in vanilla WoW it is actually a place that we cannot visit, and throughout the history of retail World of Warcraft it was actually a place that we cannot visit until relatively recently, 5-6 years ago, something like that. But in vanilla WoW we experience a lot about Kul Tiras throughout multiple quest chains in both continents. So right now we are working on this quest chain, and it has to do with a fallen fleet from Kul Tiras. And Kul Tiras is very much known for their fleets. They are a naval nation, they have one of the best navies, and when they were very much part of the Alliance, the biggest thing that they contributed to the Alliance in the fight against the Orcs were their navy powers. And as we kind of explore all the different quests that involve the Kul Tirans here in vanilla WoW, where I might almost die, I'm fine. We will see how their navy and their ships are a big influence upon the world, such as here, one of the fleets came here to the Wetlands, but were unfortunately destroyed by the Dragon Maw orcs. And on the other continent of Kalimdor as well, there are a ton of stuff to do with the Kul Tirans, specifically Theramore Isle, which is one of the most prominent locations for the Alliance on Kalimdor. It was actually built up by the Kul Tirans, and one of the most prominent people from Kul Tiras, Jaina Proudmoore, actually resides there. Someone who's super important from the Warcraft 3 story, and is also super important in the World of Warcraft story in vanilla WoW and going forward forevermore. But I actually really like the existence of Kul Tiras because it kind of adds on to the world of Azeroth as a whole, and it also is just another one of those nations that exist in the world, especially in and around the Eastern Kingdoms, where there are a ton of human nations that exist. And it's not like humanity is one huge big nation. There are different governments, different politics, different customs and cultures and stuff like that, where Kul Tiras has a very different society compared to what Lordaeron was or what Stormwind is and all the other different nations that exist. So actually, I believe for our quest, we actually need to be on this ship, and then we will return over to this ship for a future quest, though there are some rains on there that we could go ahead and fight for our quest. But we need to pick up Snellig's snuff box, which is actually underneath this ship in the water in the drowned section of the ship. So let's go ahead and run over here, and I think there's an entrance to the underwater area here, but otherwise you can just jump off the ship and get over there. But there is indeed a little staircase here that takes us down, and there are a ton of things right there, so I'm just going to back up for a second, restore my mana so we can go into this fight fresh. Let's go ahead and just pull this cursed sailor here first. I think we'll be able to get him by himself. We got him with 2, that's okay. Let's go ahead and I'll just get this Frostbolt off, and then Cone of Cold, and then Frost Nova, and then we should have some nice space here to deal with these sailors. It looks like all the enemies that we were fighting on this ship is actually starting to respawn, so we need to be extra careful about that. Let's go ahead and run down here, and there's at least one more sailor left right here that we can deal with, and then we can continue running through the ship and try to find the snuff box. There's just a ton of sailors on this ship. I feel like we probably should have come in through the bottom area instead of fighting our way through, but we're getting some nice experience, and we're also progressing our quest, though we have just finished our fighting of the cursed sailors part of this quest. So I just worked my way all the way down here, and I found First Mate Snellig. However, there was another player here that actually fought him and killed him, so I'm going to have to wait a moment for him to respawn. But I noticed he spawns right here, and there is a nice little entrance to it right here as well, so we can go ahead and back off for a moment. And we could actually fight a couple of these Crocolisks while we're here. And here Snellig is. Let's go ahead and deal with him really quickly. He says, "Time to join us, Mage." A little bit of a boss fight here, but he should be easy to deal with, especially since we are using magic spells here. It seems like he likes to disarm people, so if we were a warrior or a rogue, we'd be having a harder time here, but as a mage, pretty easy. And let's go ahead and try to find a few more marines to fight. I see a couple in this ship, so let's go ahead and poke our head in here and we can go ahead and just fight them really quickly. Only need to fight 3 more Marines in order to complete this quest here. Looks like when I pulled that Marine, I pulled 3 other people as well. So let's go ahead and just back up here a little bit. Might have to use my healing potion and my mana agate as well. Let's go ahead and use my healing potion, and then I can pop all my other cooldowns here. I'll go ahead and just use my mana agate as well. I'm really happy we have this spell now in order to conjure this item. I also have to be careful about my breath bar. Don't want to die from drowning there, that'd be embarrassing. And it looks like we were able to defeat with 3 of these people pretty easily. I do have to swim like all the way back to shore in order to eat and drink really quickly. I see a cursed marine in here. Hopefully I won't pull like 20 people when I attack this guy. So let's go ahead and cast a frostbolt. And they were easy to deal with. Make sure I don't drown. And then we can loot them. And then that is the end of our cursed crew quest. So let's go ahead and head back to shore. And we can start working our way further up the coast even more. And you can fight a few more crocolists. I got 3 crocolisk skins while waiting for Snellig. So I need to get 3 more. And then I need to find 4 more light forge ingots that are found in chests off the shore here, presumably guarded by murlocs. So I see a bluegill raider in the water here, and it looks like that they have a potential chance to drop the light forge ingots, so maybe the other light forge ingots aren't in chests, and it looks like the murlocs might have stolen them. I got 1 ingot off that murloc, so that gives me good hope about the drop rates here. Hopefully me saying that doesn't mess up all the drop rates. So fighting these Murloc Raiders actually gives us a good opportunity to talk about what is referred to as the dead zone in World of Warcraft. So these Raiders, this one here is fighting me with a spear right now. And the spear is basically a ranged attack where he is just casting the spear over and over at me and is basically can shoot me from super far away. It has a range where if I go far enough back, he won't be able to hit me. But if I get close enough to him, he will stop hitting me with the spear and he will start hitting me with melee ability. So as we get close, he'll put his spear away and pull out a sword there. But if you use our Frost Nova ability, for example, to root him in place, it didn't work there. We'll have to wait for the next one. As I was saying, Frost Nova, and then if we get far enough away where he can't hit us with his melee weapon, but we're close enough where he isn't able to shoot us with his ranged weapon because it has a minimum distance that you can fire at enemies from, which is typically further than melee range. We are able to kind of lock like the Murloc or any enemy. In PvP, it's especially useful against hunters, where we are able to lock the enemy in a position where they can't do any damage to us, where we are too close to the enemy in order for them to deal range damage to us, but we are far enough away where they are not able to do range damage to us. And this is really good when you're fighting any enemy. In PvE, it's nice in this situation because I'm not taking a ton of damage in fighting these Murlocs because I'm sitting in their dead zone where they can't do anything to me. And it is especially useful in PvP. As I mentioned, you most often see this used against hunters, where hunters have ranged guns or bows or crossbows that they can fire at enemies with. But that has a minimum range, where then they can use their melee weapon, but that has a maximum range, and the maximum range of the melee weapon and the minimum range of their ranged weapon do not overlap. There's a little bit of a gap there that enemies can utilize in order to defeat hunters without them being able to do anything against them. But of course, hunters have like special skills and stuff that they can use to kind of like get around it, and then you also have to have the opportunity to control the hunter in a way such as like Frost Nova, for example. So I just noticed that we can actually get some of these light forge ingots from the Murlocs around the ship all the way down to the south. We didn't necessarily have to come all the way here in order to do this quest. So I might go ahead and leave this quest for now and we can work on it later. And I'm going to continue my Apprentice's Duties quest and also go grab the Sita's bag as well as explore a little bit more of the wetlands here. So we just discovered Salt Spray Glen, which is this little northwestern area of the wetlands. I'm going to go ahead and run over here where there's some crocolisks, as well as a very interesting location that we can kind of poke our head into. And here we have a little bit of a homestead, where here we have a gnome that's in engineering supplies that we could sell things to and also buy things from. There's a special engineering recipe there. We can also run down into this homestead and we can see that there's a special goods dealer here that has a wizard's boat we could buy, but I don't think it's better than what we currently have equipped. Also has a Xur silk gloves, a tailoring recipe, which is actually pretty good, so I might go ahead and buy those. There's also red whelp gloves for leather workers, but I'll go ahead and learn this once we get to tailoring 145 and we could actually make it. I'll sell a couple of things here, and this is actually a nice safe spot for us if we wanted it. Let's go ahead and head back out into the wilderness here. And we got our last giant crocodile skin, so we have finished that quest. Let's go ahead and run further east here, and we can come to this special area of the world and we can fight some oozes. And here we have Ironbeard's tome that we saw from a distance in a previous episode, and there are a ton of black oozes around here, so let's go ahead and just start fighting through all these oozes and see if we can find Sita's bag. So this tomb is actually a little bit of an interesting location because we don't know 100% for a fact whose tome this actually is. We know it probably references some individual named Ironbeard, and actually on the other side of this tome we can see there a little bit there's just a dwarven statue there. But we don't entirely know what's going on here. Presumably it might be connected to the Dark Iron Dwarves, where they might have had some figurehead in their society that was important enough for them to build a tome here. And we also know of some other dwarves that have the surname of Ironbeard, but we don't entirely know if they're connected to the Ironbeard here. So this is just a really interesting part of the world. It's kind of a mystery that is still a mystery today, that we don't really know what's going on here. I think I'm going to go ahead and just run this way a little bit because there are some other areas here in the Wetlands where we can actually fight some oozes as well. Here we are near the Green Warden, and there are some oozes over here as well, and there's actually some red whelps over there, which is really cool because these red whelps are commonly farmed because they drop a mini pet, which is a completely optional, doesn't deal any damage, doesn't do anything, just runs around with you, pet that anybody can have, and it's a cool red whelpling pet that you can have. So this area is often farmed, and you could actually farm it and try to get it in order to sell it for some gold, which would be nice. This area itself as well is pretty cool because it's heading to where the Dragonmaw orcs are mostly concentrated here in the Wetlands, because this is the road that leads to Grimbatol, which used to be a dwarven kingdom that was ran over and conquered by the orcs. But that is a journey for much later from now. And I finally got Sita's bag. It only took a little bit of time. Fun story, I was actually grinding this earlier today when I was recording this, and then I had to go, and then I logged in, and the first ooze I killed actually had the bag, so that's very convenient for us, I guess. Another funny story is that I did this quest recently on my druid, and I actually got the bag to drop on the first ooze kill that I got, so that's a little funny. And I guess while we are here, let's go ahead and just fight a few red whelps. I'm not going to spend a whole ton of time killing them, we don't really have much to do here, but I think it might be nice to kill, let's say, 5 of them and see, maybe we'll get the companion pet drop. Very likely we are not going to get it at all. It is a very small drop chance, but let's go ahead and just have a little bit of fun here really quickly. Well, I'll say it was worth a try. Let's go ahead and head back towards Minotha Harbor so we can turn in all the quests that we have completed this episode. I guess really quickly, as is tradition around here, let's go ahead and speak with this goblin and absolutely nothing. Okay, let's go to Minotha. Here we are back in Minotha Harbor, and I wanted to point something out really quickly, is that the guards around here are humans and dwarves. There are a ton of humans and dwarves everywhere here, and this is kind of like a joint operation that is going on here. But funnily enough, the humans here are actually part of Ironforge as far as reputation goes, because this is kind of like the dwarven lands. We're in the 3rd dwarf zone, and most of the quests around here actually give you Ironforge reputation instead of Stormwind. Let's go ahead and talk to Sita here. We can turn in her bag, and she can give us an ooze covered bag in return, which is a 10 slot bag that we can go ahead and equip. It is the first 10 slot bag that we have gotten on this character, which is really cool. And then let's go ahead and talk to First Mate Fitzsimmons, which I was actually reading the quest here, and he mentions that all of his crewmates are actually turned undead because of a curse from some sort of treasure that was on the ship. So let's go ahead and chat with him now. We can give him Snellig's snuff box, and he gives us his gratitude. And now he says, to break the curse and free all of my brethren, the thing stowed on my ship must be retrieved and cleansed. I don't know what it was, but I do know that it was stored securely in the ship's strong box, which Captain Hallandor lorded over. My old captain is still in my dreams. I know he walks my doomed ship, the Intrepid. get the key from him, and use it to open the Intrepid strongbox. Then, after you have the cursed thing, bring it to Priest Gloran Steelbrow in town. So we can go ahead and head back to the ship, get the key, get the artifact from the strongbox, and bring it back to town. Let's go ahead and run over here to Corroboran here, and we can go ahead and give him the Minotho statue that we found from the Murloc huts. Statuette, rather. And he says, the captain of the Blind Princess will be relieved to hear this precious cargo has been recovered. You have well earned this payment for services rendered. It is good to see dependable folk like you, especially in trying times such as these. And here he has an icicle rod for us, which actually might be something that I want to pick up. So we have Staff of Westfall right now, which has 1 more intellect and 11 more spirit. However, this icicle rod increases damage done by frost spells and effects by up to 10. So I think even though we lose out on spirit, this might end up being a better weapon for us. I might just keep the Staff of Westfall around in case we feel like we want to go back to that, because it's kind of 50-50. I feel like this might be, the Staff of Westfall might be a little bit better just for like sustaining mana, but this one will definitely be better for like actually dealing damage to enemies. So we'll go ahead and just hold on to this one for now in our arms. Last quest we have to turn in. Let's go ahead and talk to James here, and we can give him the giant crocodile skins that we have gathered, and we can pick a resilient poncho which has 5 stamina and 4 more armor on it. Let's go ahead and pick this up and then equip that, and it is a longer cape, and I really like when you get a long cape, because when you start off in the game you get short capes that kind of cut off at like the top of the back, but now we have one that goes down past our butt and down our legs, which is really cool. I just like having a long cape equipped. We have several more quests left to do in the Wetlands, but we are kind of reaching near the end of this zone. One of the quests we have left to do is actually the Lost Ingots quest that we have been working on for this entire episode. We'll go ahead and finish that up next episode, because as far as this episode goes, I'm going to go ahead and call it good here. I hope you all enjoyed watching this episode as I played through it. I very much enjoyed playing through it, and I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Remember, drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time in the world of Azeroth. Goodbye.